Hello, people. This is Chirag Mehta from Constellation Research, and I have John Radko with me, who is a Senior Vice President of Product Development with OpenText. How are you doing, John?
Very well, Chirag. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, likewise. So we're going to talk about business networks. OpenText does many things. Business network is a huge part of what OpenText does. And John is here to tell us more about that specific solution and that specific part of business of OpenText. So John, let's start with basic. What exactly is business network and why someone should need one?
So let me take that in reverse order. Let's start with the problem. So companies and organizations need to talk to each other. And when I say talk to each other, I mean exchange information. Sometimes they're exchanging structured information. Sometimes they're exchanging unstructured information. There's a huge flow of information between organizations. It really is the lifeblood of commerce. Now, the challenge with that is all companies are different. They use different systems, they're at different generations of technology, and they use different data formats. So the role of business network is to mediate all of that, to help people get connected to their partners, to flow information to them, and to ensure that it keeps moving and that it's working well. So in essence, we're kind of the network that glues together businesses, which is why we're called Business Network.
Fantastic. Now, when customers get engaged in any of their business processes, and this could be purchase orders, this could be sales orders, this could be some document exchange, so simply sending documents from one system to another system, one system to another system. Do they all look the same? So when customers are trying to get on, your business network, are they thinking about what their business processes are and whether this is something they should do on their own, or they should be part of this business network that can help facilitate some of this exchange that you're referring to?
That's a very insightful question, because the challenge is generally within an organization, you can drive standardization and you can make people work in the same way. But between organizations and between companies, things are done differently. And what do I mean by differently? They're using different software, they're using different protocols for transferring information, but they're even using slightly different formats of the same business documents. So we work a lot with standard documents based on the X12 standards, EDIFACT standards, XML standards. And even when someone's using the same version of the same transaction set, they might use it differently. They might include some values that other companies don't include. And so what our clients find is that even if they're doing the same process, let's say ordering something, if they're working with 10 different organizations, the orders may look 10 different ways. It may be a couple of different standards, it may be different versions of the standard, so it's not the same. And the one other thing to keep in mind is it doesn't even stay constant once you're set up, because business is always changing. So our clients may be changing their ERP system, or their partners may be changing how they operate. A classic one is if any company makes changes to how they're doing receipt of goods related to maybe how they do distribution or manufacturing, that can drive a cascading wave of change out across all of their partners.
So speaking of partners, the network is only useful if partners can get onto the network and customers can communicate, exchange information with these partners. What does that process look like? In other words, how does one actually end up get onboarded onto the network and actually use the network?
So onboarding is one of the key capabilities we have, and there's really two facets of it I want to talk about. The first is a strength of working with a business network is that we can offer partners a wide variety of ways to onboard. So some smaller companies may not have communications gateways or ERP systems, so they might be working through a web interface. Large organizations may want to hook up to their SAP or Oracle systems. And increasingly in the mid-market, what we're seeing is companies want to connect using cloud ERP systems, things like NetSuite or MS Dynamics. So the onboarding process generally begins with a client letting us know they want a partner to join their network, their community, as we call it. We'll reach out to that partner and help them decide the best way for them to connect. And that can be any of those options or several others. Then we'll work with that partner to make sure that they comply with the requirements for our client, meaning what standards are they using? And then we'll help them test. Finally, once it's up and running, we'll keep an eye on the flow of traffic between our client and their partner, and then help them deal with anything if there's any kind of problem with that.
I see. Now, as a customer, usually people, as in our lingo, people go through, build, buy, partner kind of situation. Should we actually go build something on our own? Should we actually go buy a specific solution? People go through this motion all the time. Now, one could argue that why can't I just go build this stuff? Like, why do I have to go work with OpenText? So from an OpenText perspective, what do you think is the key differentiator? So when customers talk to you and they make a decision whether they want to do something on their own, or they would rather go somewhere else, or they work with OpenText, what is that secret sauce?
So I think it's a combination of our people, our process, and our technology. But I also want to be transparent. In general, there's very little that we're doing that our clients could not do for themselves, just as they could run their own logistics, or they could cater their own events, or any of those things. The question is, does it make business sense? We have an advantage from economies of scale. One of the challenges with B2B integration is, for most customers, it's just not anyone's full-time job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. But for OpenText Business Network staff, this is all we do. We run the business network. We operate trading communities on behalf of our clients. We also have specialized technology that is purpose-built. Our trading grid platform is purpose-built to power B2B integration for our customers. And we have built processes over the years for onboarding customers, for dealing with issues, for managing upgrades and managing change in a customer's partner network. So you can absolutely do this on your own, but generally it's more cost-effective and scalable to work with a partner who specializes in it.
I think the scale part is interesting. The network gets better as more people get onto the network, and you have thousands of customers and partners on your existing network. How do you work at scale? Because these customers, they literally have hundreds of thousands of data exchanges happening every day. Things can go wrong. Someone could go offline. You might not even notice. They could suddenly come back and they are trying to retry thousands of those pending transactions. And how do you not actually overwhelm the system and yet help your customers and partners?
So I'm really glad you asked me that, because I think when people think about trading grid or business network, they tend to think about the connection where we integrate, maybe connect to an SAP or an AS2 connection, or they think about the data transformation where we change from one format, say an iDoc, to an X12 850 or something like that. But actually a huge amount of our investment in software development is in what we refer to as community management. And that is software that watches what is happening in a community, that monitors transaction flow, that enables customers to manage their partners and see what's going on. So I'll give you an example. We have a product called TG Insights that our customers use. They come in, and most of our customers have millions of documents. And Insights allows them to very rapidly search through them and drill down to find particular documents they're looking for, maybe from a particular partner or from something that failed. That same information system will actually alert our clients if there's any failures or problems on their system. So it's a large investment in tooling and utilities and capability, and everything done with the idea of managing at scale.
Right. Now, John, we have to talk about AI. I don't think, I have to ask you this question. AI is disrupting everything, but it's also helping companies do things that they could not do before. There's this generative AI that we started with a few years ago now. And AI is obviously the agentic AI and the advancements that we are seeing in AI. It's going beyond where we started, and also the acceleration that we are seeing in the AI space is just mind-boggling. How is that playing out in your business? What are you doing with AI? How are you imagining or sort of reimagining your business?
So the path we see for AI in the business we're in begins with acceleration and ends with transformation. So right now, what we're seeing AI do is accelerate everything we do, whether it's onboarding a partner, translating some data, resolving an issue, or detecting a change somewhere out there in the network. So initially what it's doing is it is accelerating, but eventually it's going to transform. I was talking to someone who's in the software business, in the SaaS applications actually, and they were saying today they think about end users, but increasingly they expect to think about agents. I believe the majority of e-commerce and B2B will be performed by agents in the future. So that's the journey we're on now. But in the near term, what we're doing is we're deploying AI agents that enable our clients and their users to better manage the community they're a part of, to more rapidly onboard their partners, to detect issues, and to resolve them more quickly. Going forward, though, we actually want the agents to operate as managers of that community, sort of the first line of defense. We recently rolled out a capability with a major automaker where it would detect a file failure and resend the file after the issue had resolved. And that sounds relatively simple, but it required a bunch of knowledge about what was going on in the network to know when the send would work. And that's just the beginning.
Right. And endless opportunities, as kind of we see. Now, as your customers and your prospects are watching this, they are hearing you and you've been talking to them on a daily basis. What's one piece of advice that you will give them? Like if you were to do one thing right, do this. Like what is that?
I think the key thing is to approach your partner connectivity and your business network as a platform. So you really want to do as much of it as possible through a single infrastructure. Obviously, I would recommend that be OpenText Trading Grid, but however you do it, you want to do that. And I want to explain why. It's a network. So every time you connect a partner to the network, you get all the capabilities of that network. So you want to have one network. Also, as we go through this AI transformation, the way agentic AI is going to roll out is it's going to leverage interfaces and APIs that are available on all the services in your infrastructure. So in the case of Trading Grid, most of our services have API interfaces, and we're now building interfaces that agents can talk to. So you're going to want to have as many of your partners and as many of your processes as possible in a single place so that you can get the scale and so that you can move quickly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, John. And, I'm really looking forward to how Business Network evolves, with AI. So we'll check in back with you again.
Thanks very much.